The space station hummed with a quiet mechanical rhythm as Arya Kang walked through its sterile corridors. Her scaled skin shimmered under the bright lights, a testament to her alien origin, the last hope of a dying civilization. The Vailira. People were facing their final days, their population dwindling to barely 1,000 individuals across the galaxy. Arya's heart raced beneath her iridescent exterior. Years of scientific research, diplomatic negotiations, and genetic studies had failed to solve her species' critical problem. Reproduction had become nearly impossible, and each passing solar cycle brought them closer to complete extinction. She carried a datapad filled with complex genetic charts and desperate statistical analyses. Generations of her people had tried everything: advanced reproductive technologies, interstellar genetic matching programs, experimental breeding protocols. Nothing worked. The Vailira were slowly fading from existence, their once proud civilization reduced to a few scattered colonies and research outposts. The space station's human sector loomed ahead. Humans were known for their genetic adaptability, their remarkable capacity to survive and thrive in diverse environments. Arya had studied human biology extensively, and she knew they represented her people's last possible chance. Her neural tendrils, typically a calm blue, flickered with nervous energy. Changing colors rapidly to reflect her internal turmoil. She had trained for months to control her biological responses, to appear calm and rational despite the overwhelming desperation that drove her. A group of human diplomatic officers walked past, their casual conversation a stark contrast to her intense mission. She observed them carefully, analyzing potential candidates, not just for genetic compatibility, but for something more complex, a potential partner who might understand the weight of her request. Arya knew what she was about to do was unprecedented. No Vailira had ever directly proposed a reproductive partnership to an individual human. Diplomatic protocols, cultural boundaries, personal autonomy, all of these would be challenged by her approach. Her species' historical records were filled with failed attempts at interspecies cooperation. The Vailira had always been proud, always believed in their scientific superiority. But pride would not save them now. Only radical action could prevent their complete disappearance from the galactic landscape. She had prepared multiple scenarios, practiced hundreds of potential conversation approaches. Her research suggested that humans valued direct communication, emotional honesty, and logical reasoning. She would need to balance all these elements perfectly. The station's ambient temperature felt different here, slightly warmer, with a hint of organic scents that contrasted with the sterile environment. Humans brought life wherever they went, Arya thought. Perhaps that was why she felt both terrified and hopeful. Her data suggested that individual human males between 28 and 35 standard years were most likely to be receptive to her proposal. They would be established in their careers, emotionally mature, yet still capable of making significant life decisions. Arya adjusted her communication translator, ensuring it would convert her complex neural language into clear, precise human speech. Every word, every gesture would matter. The future of her entire species might depend on this single interaction. She saw him then, a human diplomatic officer standing near a view screen displaying star charts. His posture suggested confidence. His eyes showed intelligence. Something about his demeanor made her neural tendrils pulse with a soft, hopeful green. Taking a deep breath, Arya Kang prepared to make the most important proposal in her species' history. She would ask a complete stranger to help save her civilization. She would ask a human to marry her. The corridor stretched before her, filled with possibility and unprecedented risk. Her people's entire future balanced on this moment, on this single potential connection between two very different beings. Arya took another step forward. June Park was reviewing star navigation reports when he first noticed the alien standing nearby. Her presence was unusual, not just because she was clearly non-human, but because of the intense way she was watching him. Her scaled skin seemed to change colors subtly, shifting from deep blue to a nervous green. He had worked in diplomatic services long enough to recognize when something significant was about to happen. Most alien interactions were formal, scheduled and carefully managed. This felt different. "Excuse me," the alien woman said, her voice perfectly translated through a small device at her throat. Her words were precise, almost mathematical in their delivery. "I require a conversation of utmost importance." June turned fully, surprised by her direct approach. Most alien diplomats followed strict protocols. This felt like something else entirely. "How can I help you?" he responded, keeping his tone neutral and professional. She extended a data pad. Her four-fingered hand moved with a strange, fluid grace that was both alien and somehow elegant. The pad contained a comprehensive genetic analysis, medical histories, and what appeared to be an official diplomatic proposal. "I am Arya Kang," she stated. "I represent the Vylara civilization. We are facing complete genetic extinction, and I have determined that you are a potential genetic partner for reproductive collaboration." For a moment, June thought he had misheard. Reproductive collaboration? Marriage proposal? From an alien he had never met? The station's background noise seemed to fade as he processed her words. Arya's neural tendrils, strange appendages that looked like a cross between hair and delicate sensors, began changing colors rapidly. Her translator interpreted this as emotional stress. "My species has approximately 6 generations remaining before complete genetic collapse," she continued. "Human genetic structures show remarkable compatibility with our biological systems." June blinked. This was definitely not a standard diplomatic meeting. The genetic charts on her data pad showed complex molecular comparisons, mathematical probability, models, and what seemed like desperate scientific calculations. "You want me to marry you?" June asked, wanting to confirm he understood correctly. "Not marriage in the traditional human emotional context," Arya clarified. "A genetic partnership designed to preserve my species. Your biological contribution would be scientifically crucial." Her amber eyes, with their strange, multi-layered irises, watched him intently. She wasn't just making a request. She was presenting a potential solution to her civilization's survival. June's diplomatic training kicked in. He needed more information. "Why me specifically?" he asked, reviewing the genetic charts. Arya's tendrils shifted to a calm blue. "Statistical analysis indicated you possess optimal genetic markers. Age range suitable. Professional stability demonstrated. Psychological profiles suggest potential adaptability." It was the least romantic proposal in galactic history. Yet something, in her absolute sincerity, her complete dedication to saving her people, was profoundly moving. The station's ambient lights seemed to highlight the extraordinary nature of this moment. A desperate alien scientist standing before a human diplomat, asking him to help save an entire civilization. June realized he was being asked to make a decision that could change 2 species' futures. Not a personal choice, but a potential scientific breakthrough. "I'll need to review your complete documentation," June said finally, "and consult with multiple departments." Arya's tendrils flickered. The translator interpreted this as relief and hope. Her entire body seemed to relax, the scaled skin shifting to a soft, grateful green. Neither of them knew it then, but this moment would become a turning point. Not just for the Vylara, not just for June, but for the understanding of what connection, survival, and hope could truly mean across different species. The space station continued its endless orbit, witnesses to an extraordinary first contact that would change everything. The research facility buzzed with nervous energy. Scientists from multiple planetary systems gathered around complex holographic displays, their eyes fixed on the extraordinary genetic data unfolding before them. June Park sat in the center of a sterile white room, surrounded by medical equipment that looked both familiar and alien. Arya Kang stood nearby, her scaled skin shifting colors with each new test result. Dozens of scientists watched through reinforced glass, recording every microscopic interaction. "Genetic compatibility is unprecedented," muttered Dr. Kim, the lead human researcher. Her fingers danced across multiple screens, analyzing molecular structures that seemed to defy traditional biological understanding. The first round of tests had shocked everyone. June and Arya's genetic structures didn't just match, They complemented each other in ways no one had predicted. Where human genetic codes showed potential weakness, Vilara genetic markers provided unexpected strength. Where Vilara genetics seemed fragile, human chromosomes offered remarkable resilience. Specialized nanoscanners mapped their cellular structures. Complex holographic models showed how their genetic materials could potentially merge, creating something entirely new. It wasn't just reproduction they were exploring. It was cellular regeneration, genetic healing, a potential bridge between two completely different species. Arya's neural tendrils connected to advanced scanning equipment, translating her biological responses in real time. Her body was literally communicating with the machines, providing insights that traditional human medical technology could never capture. The probability of successful genetic fusion is 73.6%, announced a computer voice. Most scientific teams would consider this a low success rate. But for the Vilara, facing extinction, this was unprecedented hope. Psychological evaluations ran concurrent with biological tests. How would two beings from completely different evolutionary paths interact? What cultural barriers existed? What emotional complexities might emerge? June found himself fascinated. This was no longer just a diplomatic mission or a scientific experiment. This was about survival, about connection beyond traditional understanding. Blood tests revealed something extraordinary. Certain cellular markers in June's genetic structure contained repair mechanisms that could potentially reverse the genetic degradation affecting the Vilara population. Each test brought new discoveries, new possibilities. The research facility became a beacon of hope. News spread quickly across diplomatic channels. An entire civilization might be saved through this unprecedented genetic exploration. Arya's people watched the results carefully. Generations of scientific failure had made them cautious. But these initial findings suggested something miraculous might be possible. "We're looking at more than reproduction," Dr. Kim explained during a live broadcast. "We're exploring a potential genetic symbiosis that could redefine our understanding of biological adaptation." June listened, understanding the weight of what was happening. He wasn't just participating in a scientific experiment. He was potentially saving an entire species. Arya's scaled skin continued to shift colors, a biological language the scientists were slowly learning to interpret. Each color change represented complex emotional and physiological responses that human technology was just beginning to understand. The tests continued for weeks. Each day brought new discoveries, new challenges, new hope. The line between scientific exploration and personal connection began to blur. Diplomatic representatives from multiple star systems watched the research carefully. If successful, this could change everything they understood about interspecies relationships, genetic compatibility, and survival. June and Arya found themselves at the center of something much larger than themselves, a potential bridge between civilizations, a chance to preserve life in its most fundamental form. As another round of tests completed, the computer's voice announced another remarkable finding. The genetic compatibility was increasing. With each test, with each interaction, June and Arya's cellular structures seemed to be learning from each other, adapting, growing stronger. The universe watched and waited, holding its collective breath. Research facility gradually transformed from a cold scientific space into something more personal. June and Arya discovered they were more than just genetic subjects. They were becoming something unexpected. Cultural exchange became their daily routine. Arya taught June about Vilara communication methods, where neural tendrils conveyed emotions, more precisely than human words. June shared human experiences, humor, music, complex emotional narratives that fascinated her alien perspective. Their conversations revealed profound differences. Vilara society valued collective survival over individual desires. Humans celebrated individual achievements. Yet both understood the deep universal need for connection, for belonging. Arya learned human humor first. June's dry jokes initially confused her, but gradually she began understanding subtle comedic nuances. Her laugh, a strange musical resonance that vibrated through her scaled skin, became something June looked forward to hearing. Genetic compatibility tests continued, but they were no longer just clinical experiments. Each interaction revealed deeper layers of understanding. They shared meals designed to bridge their biological differences. They discussed their homeworlds, their hopes, their fears. Vylara history fascinated June, a civilization built on scientific precision, on collective survival, on adapting to impossible challenges. Arya's people had survived multiple planetary catastrophes, technological collapses, near-extinction events. Their resilience was remarkable. For Arya, human complexity was equally fascinating. The ability to love beyond biological necessity, to create art, to imagine futures not dictated by pure survival. These concepts transformed her understanding of existence. Their neural and emotional connection began surprising the research team. Computers tracked not just genetic compatibility, but emerging emotional synchronization. Something unprecedented was happening. They're developing mutual understanding beyond biological parameters, Dr. Kim noted during a research review. The other scientists watched in astonishment as June and Arya's interactions revealed layers of connection no one had predicted. Language became fluid between them. Arya's translated speech gradually incorporated human idioms. June learned to read her neural tendrils' color changes, understanding emotions more precisely than human facial expressions could convey. Cultural barriers slowly dissolved. Vylara formality mixed with human emotional openness. They discovered shared values, protection of life, scientific curiosity, the desire to preserve something greater than themselves. Late-night conversations revealed deeper truths. Arya shared her civilization's pain of potential extinction. June spoke about human struggles, about generations that had faced seemingly impossible challenges. They found common ground in resilience. The research facility became their shared world, a space where biological differences meant less than mutual understanding, where survival wasn't just about genetic continuation, but about genuine connection. Neural scans showed something remarkable. Their brain patterns were starting to show synchronized responses, not just similar, actually complementary, as if their very consciousness was learning to communicate on a level beyond traditional understanding. Diplomatic channels watched carefully. This was more than a scientific experiment. This was a potential blueprint for interspecies cooperation, for understanding beyond traditional boundaries. June realized he was no longer just a participant in a genetic rescue mission. He was developing a connection that challenged everything he understood about relationships, about life itself. Arya's perspective transformed too. What began as a desperate scientific mission was becoming something profoundly personal. She was discovering emotions, connections that her strictly logical society had never valued. Their neural tendrils in human hands would sometimes touch during tests, a gesture that carried more meaning than any verbal communication. A bridge between two completely different evolutionary paths. The universe seemed to pause, watching this extraordinary connection unfold. Two beings from different worlds, different evolutionary paths, finding something unexpected. Hope, understanding, a connection that transcended biological limitations. As another test completed, June looked at Arya. Her scaled skin shimmered with a color he was learning to recognize as deep emotional warmth. Something was changing, not just for them, but for two entire civilizations watching and waiting. The unexpected connection continued to grow, defying every scientific prediction. The medical chamber was silent, except for soft mechanical hums. Arya's scaled body trembled with contractions, unlike anything in human or Vylara medical records. June held her four-fingered hand, watching scientists monitor impossible biological processes. Their child emerged, a being that defied every scientific expectation. Scaled skin with human-like flexibility, neural tendrils that pulsed with colors representing complex emotional ranges, genetic markers that showed unprecedented hybrid resilience. The infant's eyes opened, multifaceted irises that shifted between amber and deep brown. One hand had 4 fingers, the other 5. Breathing patterns suggested adaptability to multiple atmospheric conditions. A living bridge between 2 civilizations. Vylara representatives watched through holographic displays, tears marking their scaled cheeks. Their first hope in generations had arrived, not through clinical reproduction but through genuine connection. Medical scanners confirmed what seemed impossible. The child carried genetic repair mechanisms that could potentially reverse generations of Vylara reproductive challenges. Each cellular scan revealed miraculous adaptations. Survival is no longer just a possibility, Dr. Kim announced. It's a biological reality. June understood this was more than a personal moment. This child represented hope for an entire civilization, a testament to adaptation, to finding connection beyond biological boundaries. Arya's neural tendrils wrapped gently around the infant, translating emotional responses that no human technology could fully comprehend. Love, in their world, was a language of cellular communication. The infant's eyes opened, multifaceted irises that shifted between amber and deep brown. One hand had 4 fingers, the other 5. Breathing patterns suggested adaptability to multiple atmospheric conditions. A living bridge between 2 civilizations, Vylara. Representatives watched through holographic displays, tears marking their scaled cheeks. Their first hope in generations had arrived, not through clinical reproduction, but through genuine connection. Medical scanners confirmed what seemed impossible. The child carried genetic repair mechanisms that could potentially reverse generations of Vylara reproductive challenges. Each cellular scan revealed miraculous adaptations. Survival is no longer just a possibility, Dr. Kim announced. It's a biological reality. June understood this was more than a personal moment. This child represented hope for an entire civilization, a testament to adaptation, to finding connection beyond biological boundaries. Arya's neural tendrils wrapped gently around the infant, translating emotional responses that no human technology could fully comprehend. Love, in their world, was a language of cellular communication. Diplomatic channels across multiple star systems watched the transmission. What had begun as a desperate genetic rescue mission had transformed into something extraordinary, a new understanding of life, of connection, of survival. The child made soft sounds that were neither human crying nor Vylara communication. A new language emerging, bridging 2 worlds. Genetic studies would continue for generations. But in this moment, something pure and hopeful existed. A life that represented more than survival. A life that represented possibility. Vylara researchers discovered that the hybrid genetic structure contained self-repairing mechanisms more advanced than anything in their historical records. The child wasn't just surviving, it was thriving. June watched Arya's scaled skin change colors, a language of emotion he had learned to understand. Right now, her entire body radiated a color of pure joy, of hope beyond measure. The medical facility felt different. No longer a cold scientific space, but a place of transformation. Where desperate hope had found unexpected resolution, news spread quickly, not just among scientific communities but across entire planetary systems. A new form of life had emerged. A new possibility of understanding had been born. The infant's hybrid status meant more than genetic survival. It represented a bridge between civilizations, between understanding between what was possible and what was previously unimaginable. Vylara elders began preparing cultural integration protocols. How would they welcome a child that represented their salvation? How would they honor this unprecedented connection? June realized his life had changed completely. From a routine diplomatic officer to the father of a being that could potentially save an entire civilization. The weight of that responsibility was immense. Arya's neural tendrils wrapped around both June and the infant, a gesture of complete familial connection. Her scaled skin shimmered with colors of protection, of love, of profound hope. The child opened its eyes again, multifaceted, changing, alive with possibilities that no one had predicted. A new beginning had arrived, not just for one child, not just for two species, but for the understanding of what connection, survival, and hope could truly mean. The universe watched and waited and wondered.